Yeah, any brand, I don't care. Thanks.
You can get it riding. You can get it sliding. You can feel it coming on about 4. A hard thirst needs a big cold beer. And the best cold beer is Vic. Vic Bitter. You can get it walking. You can get it talking. You can get it working a plow. Matter of fact now, Victoria Bitter.
Get up.
Is on the way to say I love you. I long to see the laughter in your eyes. I can call you on the phone, but when it ends we're still alone. I need to say I love you face to face. Come on and fly, Australia. Take to the sky, Australia. Australia. Come and fly the friendly way when those you love are far away. When you need to say I love you face to face. I need to say I love you face to face.
This program has been brought to you by the bank that makes life easier. State Bank. Action Bank.
On Wednesday night, a very special edition of Day by Day. The Real Who's Baby Family. Jess Jenkins, Nola's mother.
I thought that the chap who played Noel did a very good job. He got into Noel's personality quite well.
Noel Jenkins. And the woman at the centre, Nola Jenkins.
When they got to the legs in the hospital, from then on I couldn't watch.
Their story on Day by Day, Wednesday night at 7 on 7. Tatum O'Neill is a little darling, and so is Christy McNichol. They're together in the spirit of hot-blooded competition.
I'll bet that Paris will become a woman by the end of the summer. You just lost $100, sucker. Make it look good.
It's the hottest summer of their lives, and neither of them are ever going to forget it. Starring Matt Dillon and Amanda Sant.
I feel dizzy.
A movie about growing up that will touch your heart.
That was nice.
Little Darlings, don't let the title fool you. Your Monday night movie at 8:30 on 7. The peerless defender is back in the courtroom. The client, Della Street. The charge, murder. Mystery and suspense is back. Tuesday, 8:30, the return of Perry Mason on 7.
Newsworld is proudly brought to you by Canon.
Good evening and welcome to Newsworld. British and American warships arriving in Sydney for the Australian Navy's 75th anniversary flotilla of anti-nuclear protesters today. The protesters played a cat and mouse game with police, but few were able to break the cordon around the naval fleet in Sydney Harbour.
It was the RAM's proudest moment. Our own HMAS Stalwart set the pace just after daybreak, and then came the procession of immaculately decked out destroyers. But the fleet was not going to have it all its own way. Water police and naval craft had to keep the growing body of floating protesters clear. In choppy waters, close to 60 demonstrators used kayaks, canoes and surf skis to get as close as possible to the craft. The bravest protesters took to the harbour on surfboards.
And the protesters waited all morning for the entry of the first US ship. And it was the prowess of a surfboard rider who decided to hang 10 that took the spotlight. He managed to elude the tight security net for more than a kilometre, riding double-handed on the USS Oldendorf. It was to be the occasion's only arrest.
While the land lovers watched the distant scurrying of police boats and protesters, there were also confrontations on shore.
I do! I'm giving you an instruction now. OK, I'm listening. Don't go back over that edge of the bitumen.
The anti-nuclear movement was out in force.
Not a single boat with an Australian flag on it, but boats nevertheless that have nuclear weapons. And you know what? No government has invited them and let the people know that they were going to come in here.
The Sydney Peace Squadron will be staying at Mrs Macquarie's chair for this week, planning more land and water protests for the arrival of the USS Missouri on Wednesday and the Naval Review on Saturday.
A one-legged invalid pensioner has appeared in the Melbourne Magistrates Court, charged with the murder of Maryborough policeman Senior Constable Maury Moore. As Andrew Hall reports, the death of Senior Constable Moore has shocked the central Victorian town, and donations are already pouring in to help his young family.
34-year-old Maury Moore was shot 5 times with his own service pistol after he spotted 4 men trying to steal a car on Saturday morning. Today, 27-year-old invalid pensioner Robert John Knoll of Maryborough appeared in court charged with his murder. Knoll was remanded in custody to appear again on December the 15th. The 8,000 residents of Maryborough are still trying to come to grips with the death of Senior Constable Moore, and the community has started rallying around to help his wife Heather and his mourning colleagues.
It's been overwhelming for everybody at the police station, and that's one thing that's helped to keep the whole station together.
The local council and police this morning met to set up an appeal for Mrs Moore and her 3 children, aged 11, 9 and 4.
Even before the appeal started, dozens of people went to police stations to make donations. One man walked into the Dandenong police station this morning and handed over $1,000 cash.
This afternoon, a group of school friends of Stephen and Catherine Moore each donated $1 of their pocket money, and organisers are hopeful the appeal total will approach $100,000. Donations can be sent to the Maryborough City Council offices, Neil Street, Maryborough, or left at any police station or branch of the National Australia Bank.
A special parole board hearing was held in Melbourne today to determine when jailed BLF boss Norm Gallagher should be released. The release date should be known on Friday. Meanwhile, despite the absence of its leader, the BLF has been planning tactics for a showdown with employers and police on Wednesday.
This week will be a big one for the BLF. On Friday, Parole Board Chairman Mr Justice Nicholson will announce when Gallagher will be released from jail. He was sentenced to a non-parole period of 12 months, but there is controversy on whether he's entitled to claim the 124 days he spent in jail last year before a retrial was ordered. But one thing is certain, the BLF's moment of truth will come on Wednesday, with or without Norm Gallagher. That's when workers will be required to renew their memberships with the union of their choice. Despite deregistration, the BLF claims that more than 6,000 members have already re-signed with the union. On Wednesday, they will attempt to work on sites, even though the government claims their tickets aren't worth a cracker.
There are a number of employers who have already indicated to us that whilst they got conned the last time to take out the big stick and do the government's bidding, they've indicated that they've been conned once and they won't be conned again. And if people want to exercise the right to work under the union ticket of their choice, then they'll be handballing it to others.
The Chamberlain inquiry resumes tomorrow at the Federal Court in Melbourne. The inquiry, headed by Justice Morling, will sit for a week to hear the results of forensic tests carried out on the Chamberlain's car. The car, a yellow Tirana hatchback, has been in storage since June at the crime scene section of the State Forensic Science Laboratories in McLeod. Forensic scientists have gone over the vehicle with a fine-tooth comb, and the results of their investigations will be heard this week. The media was invited to view the car and its various parts today before the hearing begins tomorrow at 10:15. The car has been impounded since the first Azaria Chamberlain inquest in late 1980, and tomorrow the Chamberlains and others involved in the inquiry will inspect the car. The hearing returns to Sydney next week to hear evidence on a baby's jacket, which Lindy Chamberlain claims was Azaria's. It was found near the base of Ayers Rock earlier this year. The federal government is to hold a state funeral on Thursday for Sir Robert Helpman, who died at the weekend aged 77. Tributes to Sir Robert, who was one of the world's greatest ballet dancers and choreographers, have come from around Australia and from overseas, where he first achieved the recognition he deserved. Prime Minister Bob Hawke said the state funeral, to be held at St Andrew's Cathedral in Sydney, will be a suitable mark of respect for Sir Robert, who made a distinguished contribution to Australia. A secret poultice said to cure arthritis has received an overwhelming response from Melbourne people suffering from the crippling disease. 7 National News received hundreds of inquiries about the treatment after our report on it last week.
Graham Tabe has no medical qualifications and is a one-time Queensland shearer, truckie and tuna fisherman. But his magic poultice, which resembles brown porridge, has provided hope for millions of arthritis sufferers around the world. He claims an 80% success rate and challenges any sceptic to prove he is a quack.
I say to any doctor or anyone, send me 20 of your patients you can't fix, and I'll send them back to you, then you pass judgment.
Graham opened his treatment centre in Essendon last week. Since Channel 7's report, the phone hasn't stopped ringing and a constant flow of customers streamed through the doors. Graham has also had orders for his miracle cure from Britain and America. Former patients claim remarkable results.
I've never been so pleased with anything in my life.
75-year-old Adelaide Lynch has suffered from rheumatoid arthritis for 28 years and had nearly given up hope of finding a cure to relieve her constant pain.
I've tried everything. All tablets. A few things have put me into remission, but not for long.
Where have you got the arthritis?
Hands, elbows, shoulders, knees, ankles, feet, toes.
The cure produced another winner last weekend when former patient Wandai's mate, a champion Queensland pacer, won the $100,000 JPS Championship in Brisbane.
Anyone wanting further information on the treatment can ring Melbourne 370 3654 or 370 1529.